button. Okay, so I want to welcome everybody. This is our second Monday evening in a series of webinars we have scheduled. Next week, we'll be going over scheduling and invoicing. And for those who attend, we'll give you a sneak peek of the new calendar that's going to be coming out shortly. I'll probably do that tonight anyways because it looks pretty neat. And then the following Monday, we're going to go over inventory procedures, vaccines, and reporting. So the topic for this evening, we're going to review the client and patient section. We will take a look at the electronic medical record, and then we'll open it up to questions, comments, etc. So as most of you know who have used the software, this is sort of our dashboard and our landing page, and I'm going to move into the clients and patients section, and I am going to go ahead and pull up a client. And what we'll do is we'll jump in, and I'm just going to identify a couple of points that I think are kind of important. You'll notice in the text fields, anything with a red asterisk is a required field. We have made email addresses required because as a practicing veterinarian, I've found that that's something that often gets missed at the front desk. For those of you who have clients that still don't have email addresses, you can certainly populate this field with something like noemail@noemail.com, and that'll be fine. The other thing we recommend is that, for example, if you have a client who only has a cell phone, that you populate both the home and the mobile phone field with that number, as we do hope to have text messaging of reminders for appointments and procedures in the very near future. We're going to talk about pet portal access in a little bit. You will notice there is an outstanding balance field here. This is calculated from the transaction screen, and it is based on the client's balance, so it would include all of that particular client's patients. Any questions so far? This is all fairly straightforward stuff. Okay. One thing that I think is important to note, particularly if you want to offer referral rewards or track referrals and follow your advertising spend, we do have a number of different pre-populated advertising medium here. And then the other thing you're able to do is you're able to put in, for example, a client's name. And if they referred the new client, it'll populate with their name. And then we have a report that will kick that out, so you are able to reward those clients should you choose to do that. Okay? Any questions? All right. I'm going to jump into a particular patient. Something new that we've launched. We were having some issues with various devices rotating photos, so we've just put a photo rotator button in here. This way, any image that you upload, you're able to save in whatever orientation that you'd like. If you are running Vet Office Suite on your iPhone or your iPad, and you select, you click here, you're able to either pull an image right from your library, or you can use the camera to take a picture at that moment in time and automatically upload that into the patient identification screen.
I'm sorry, Eric, can you back up on the image download and where you put it? Because that's kind of how I run the entire house call practice.
I can, well, this is, so this particular picture is just to identify the pet, okay?
Okay.
And so you got the photo rotator part, I assume, yes?
Yep.
Awesome. So right under the pet's name, there is a little button that says click here to select photo.
Okay.
And so, and I'm not on an iPhone or an iPad, but if you click that on your iPhone or iPad, you'll have the option to take an image or go into your photo library and select an image, and then you can upload that image into the pet identification picture. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
Great. And if if you're working on a computer, of course, you can either upload any image you select, or you can drag and drop. The document uploader is drag and drop. You could select any image here that you want off of your computer and put it in there. But obviously, the nice part is to be mobile, have your phone, and just upload that image at that moment in time. There's several certificates we can print from this screen. We can do a spay-neuter certificate if we'd like, and these will all come up as PDF files that you can print out. You can save and email. If you're running on Chrome, you'll notice in the bottom right there is a little menu icon bar that allows you to save, print, or enlarge. So that's available. When you first see a patient and you put in their weight for the first time, it will notate that initial weight here. Anytime you complete a SOAP form and enter a weight, the current weight will be updated by what was put in the SOAP form. And we'll show you how we track weights when we go into the SOAP section of the medical record. We're able to print microchip certificates here. And then for those folks who need chart labels, so if you want to create labels to populate forms, dental forms, release instructions, etc., you do have the ability to create a chart label with the basic demographic information for the client and patient. There is a free-form text field here that you can add items to. And these will all work very nicely on a Dymo label printer. And then if anybody is still non-digital with their x-rays, we do have an x-ray label where you can select different views, put in your technique, and make any comments that you'd like. There is a checkbox here to tag a patient deceased. So if a patient should pass at home, you can jump in and do that. I would also note that if you complete a euthanasia release or if you transact out a euthanasia code, that patient will automatically be tagged deceased for you. Any questions here so far, folks? Okay, good. Let's talk a little bit about the patient portal. I want to jump back to that real quick. Patient portal access is offered in the client information screen. And you'll see right here is a little tick box. And if you check that box for a new client and select Save, the email address that's entered here will receive a welcome email, and it will have a link that will allow the client to set up a password. They generally have 24 to 48 hours to do that. And once they do that, they'll be able to access certain sections of the medical record. So they'll be able to access your SOAP forms, the documents and images section, the medical history section. What we have not allowed them to access is the client communication section. So if someone is requesting that, you'll have to print that out on your own. We felt it was best to keep that sort of in clinic unless it was requested. If you have a client that forgets their password or didn't activate their pet portal access in the correct amount of time, all you have to do is tick the resend invitation button, and they'll get an email requesting them to set up their password. Any questions on that? Okay, so yeah, I don't know, somebody's giving me a little bit of feedback. Okay, good. So what I'd like to do now is just sort of run through our electronic medical record. The first screen, that's the screen we've been on and been talking about. That's the pet info screen. See if that helps. Help. Is anybody hearing that feedback, or is it just me?
Nope, it's not from me.
I hear it.
I'm sitting quiet.
All right, maybe it's me then. Okay. Do I sound all right to you guys? It's coming through good?
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. Then I'm just going to ignore it as long as you're not hearing it. Let's jump into, I think, the medical history tab. First thing you'll notice is we do have a master problem list. We were able to garner a list from AHA of hundreds of different diseases and syndromes. And really, to populate this, all you have to do is start typing, and you'll see we have a host of different dermatitis. I mean, pretty much any disease you could think of is going to be in here. It does require some sort of comment. I mean, you can just type in some random data or put some comments in regarding the patient. And then those master problems will be listed here, and they can be tagged as active or resolved. Allergies is really just a free-form field. You would just tick the add allergy button and type in whatever it was the patient was allergic to, okay? The prescriptions tab. This is very handy, I think, if you transact out any item in inventory. You will have the ability to create a prescription label. And once you save that label, they will appear here. The date that they were created, how many were dispensed. And then what's nice is you can recall that label at any time, so that if a client disagrees with the instructions you made or they've lost their label, you have the ability to pull these up and reprint them. It's also a nice way to track whatever medications you've dispensed. And what we do in our practice is we've set up an inventory code for written or called in prescriptions, and then we'll actually transact those. It's a zero charge, but what that does is it puts those labels in this section so they can be readily recalled and reviewed. Let's jump to the services tab. Go ahead.
Can you import pictures on the prescription labels? Like pet pictures?
Not here, but you could certainly do that in documents and images. And I've actually, before I started doing it that way, we had a folder here. So create a folder and call it prescriptions. And then you can take a photo of that script. You can scan that script and upload those right here, okay? And when we hit the documents and image section, the select file button when you're using it on your mobile device will allow you to go to your photo library or take an active photo at that moment in time. Does that help, Adam?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Let's go back to medical history. Services is really just a running tally of all the items that have been transacted for that patient. It'll be listed chronologically. So if you need to you want a quick overview of what you've done for a patient, you're able to jump in here and review all of that. That list can be printed. You see a little print button right here. You can also use the add existing button here, but I prefer to use that in the vaccine section. So before we jump into the vaccination section, any questions about the stuff we've covered in patient medical history?
Under the prescriptions, how did you put the handwritten one in on 42715? Where did you do that? Where did you add that in?
This one right here?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I do that, what I'll do is I'll go to transactions, and I have created a, well, let me back up a little bit. This is a good question. So I'll show you my little workaround. So if you go into inventory and procedures, and that takes a little time to load, guys. I'm sorry. It's when you're running a webinar and Vet Office Suite, it gets slowed down a little bit. But what we did was we created a category called written or called in prescriptions. And then we'll put those scripts in here, as you can see. And when we put prices in for those, we just leave it as 0. Okay? And we don't have any reminders set up for that. All right? And then what we're able to do is we're able to go into a transaction. We'll create a transaction. And we'll put in the doctor name. We'll pull up the client. We'll pull up the patient that we want to prescribe for. And then we'll just type right in here, written. And that's going to pull up our different written or called in prescriptions. We'll put our quantity in. We'll leave our unit price at 0, and then we'll hit the plus sign. You can put a lot number in or not. That's up to you. And then right here, you can just go ahead and put those prescription instructions in. It does require an expiration date. I'll usually just go 3 or 4 months down the road. I'll hit the print button, and then I just hit cancel, and that saves that, okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then when we go back to that particular patient, I hope it's saved, Bregman. I'll look rather silly if it didn't, but it should have. And we go to Woodford and medical history and prescriptions. Here it is right here, okay? So that's just a nice way to keep track of those. Or alternatively, you can do what Adam suggested, which we did for a while, which was scan or take a photo of that and upload it in your documents and image section. I just kind of like it here. That's just a personal preference. Okay? Let's go into the vaccine section. That's kind of important. We have added in the ability to save a signature, and I can show you folks how to do that if you want, so that when these vaccines are created, your signature will automatically appear on them. Lot numbers will now show up on vaccine certificates, and what we do in our practice is generally for the lot number, we'll put in the first 3 letters of the manufacturer and then whatever the lot number is for the vaccine, okay? If you wish to create a vaccine certificate, you'll select the vaccines you'd like to show up and then hit vaccine certificate, and you'll get a PDF with that information on there, okay? Clients have the ability to do this themselves through the pet portal. So if they lose their certificate, if they're at the boarding facility and they need one right away, they can just log in and print these out themselves. There's 2 important parts here. One, any vaccines, procedures, or inventory items that you set up with reminders will populate in these sections. Vaccines will be specific for vaccinations. And then if, for example, you see a new patient and they've been previously vaccinated, all you have to do is hit the Add Existing button, and you can add in whatever vaccine reminders you'd like from the previous veterinarian, and then Vet Office Suite is going to go ahead and email those for you, okay? So just for example, we'll set that at August 1st, 2013. We'll set our reminder date for August 1st, 2015, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. You guys get the gist, I think. And then we have functionally created an emailable reminder that the system will automate. So they'll get reminded to come back to your practice. Nice. Any questions there? Okay. Let's jump into the documents and images uploader. Let me take a look at a real patient. We had somebody in today that we did iodine therapy on, and we took some radiographs. So we'll go ahead and search this, and we'll take a look at brown cat. So generally, Vet Office Suite will pre-populate with 6 or 7 different folders. And that's going to be the first, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 folders will automatically pre-populate. And then, of course, you can add whatever folders that you'd like, okay? The beauty of this is that you can select files to upload. So if you want to upload a screenshot or a lab result, you can just do that, okay? You can also go into a particular folder and select file and upload that item. What's also nice is if you have a couple of windows open, we do have a drag and drop capability, so you can pull an image or a document in and upload that directly just by dragging and dropping. What's also nice, particularly if you take a series of radiographs, is you can hold down, you can click the first one you'd like to drag in, hold down the shift key, and pull in a whole bunch of them all at once. So it can be done that quickly. I'm just going to cancel these because this is a real patient. So we download our PDFs from Antec, and then the staff uploads those, and they're there for review. Clients can visualize those as well. And then, for example, we took some x-rays today, and we've uploaded those as well as the radiograph report. It does show up as a little big on, there we go. So these are going to be readily viewable. Now, the one thing that is sort of required with a cloud-based system is that these have to be JPEGs because DICOMs are way too big and you'll never see your image. So generally, JPEG, PDF files, Word and Excel files, they can all be easily uploaded into Vet Office Suite by dragging and dropping and be readily available wherever you need them. Okay. Any questions there? Okay, good. We've got several forms built in. I'm going to hit those kind of quickly. They're all going to follow sort of the same format where it will pre-populate with client, pet, and patient, client, pet, and practice information. And then we're going to have several drop-downs where it's kind of quick and easy for you to select what you're calling about. Boy, I don't know what that is. That's how you spoke to them. I do a lot of emailing, so I'll write the email and then I'll just copy, paste, and drop that in here. And then the nice thing is whether you're running with a mouse or a touch device, whoever did that communication can sign, okay? We have several different forms built in. I'll show you the ultrasound form just quickly. You can explore these on your own, but again, it's going to pre-populate with information. And then the root. Hearing that feedback, or is it still just me?
It looks like it's coming.
I can hear it.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is let me mute everyone except for me, and then if you want to chat, just write something in the text box, and we'll see if that solves the problem. All right? So I've got everybody on mute.
You mean you don't like the sound of my dog barking in the background?
Well, that didn't bother me as much as the squelch. Let me just see what happens when I mute everyone. Give me 1 minute, guys. Okay. So everyone's on mute. I'm going to assume that everyone can hear me still. If not, type in the box. And then what I'll do is every now and then I'll just unmute, and anybody who wants to say something can chime in. So with our ultrasound form, we have all the body systems, normals and abnormals. If you've done an FNA or an aspirate or a biopsy, we've got organ choices and your assessment and then the doctor's signature, okay? We have a surgery form and a radiology form. The surgery form will be pre-populated with drugs, fluids, supplies. Let me turn this off. I don't know, maybe that's it. Huh, strange. Okay. We do have a health certificate built in. And again, once these are saved, clients can print them. These are nice because you can save them, email them, you can sign off on them. And then, as we said, there is a euthanasia certificate here as well. That will allow you to both create your euthanasia form and the client can sign off on that form that the pet hasn't bitten anyone in 10 days. And then once you save that, that pet will be tagged deceased. I've unmuted everyone. Any questions about that? Okay, great. We do have a general estimate form here. When we go over transactions, I'll show you how I like to create estimates, but if we need something quick and dirty and on the fly, what we can do is fill this form out with the procedure, with the fee, who the doctor is, and then we'll have that client sign either on a touch screen or with a mouse, and we'll have an estimate saved for whatever procedure it is that we're doing. I think that's it for reports and forms. Any questions there before I jump into the soap? And can everyone see the screen okay? I'm hoping
Yes.
it's big enough. Good. So the soap form is really our medical records form. You'll notice, this is the first time I've seen this patient, but we have the date the soap was created. There is a modified tab here. And we also have the weight of the particular patient. And every time you complete the soap and update that weight field, you will have a running tally of the patient's weight. Let's go ahead and tick add a soap, and we'll just kind of buzz through that. And again, it's going to pre-populate with client, pet, and practice information. You have the ability to choose some pre-selected presenting complaints. What's nice about Vet Office Suite when you run it on an iPad or an iPhone is that the Siri talk to text functionality works pretty well. And so if you don't like to type or you're not a fast typer, you can just talk. And these fields will populate. And it's pretty good with medical terms. We've got some subjective exam findings, TPR, body condition scores, 1 through 9. And then body systems that we're going to examine. If you tick abnormal or not examined, a text box will populate. You'll notice there's a couple little lines in the bottom right corner, and what's nice about that is it allows you to expand the window so you can see everything you've written. Diagnostics, your assessment of the patient, and then your treatment and recommendations. And then your docs can sign, they can select the doctor that did it. And again, we've got a signature pad. Okay, so that's fairly straightforward. Any questions about the soap form or how I use it in practice? One question I get a lot is if you have a hospitalized patient, I will create a soap for each day the pet is hospitalized. Question?
Realistically, how clean is it on the handheld device? Do I operate off of a Galaxy, or am I needing more of a tablet to run it in a house call situation?
So I have an iPhone 6 Plus, and I'll do soaps on that. It's really a real estate issue, to be honest. So if you've got a big phone, certainly on an iPad mini, that's enough real estate to run it. I would say generally that definitely with an iPad, you'll have no problem running this.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
And Eric,
Yes.
if you didn't have time to soap that patient as you saw them and did a transaction for them and collected their money and you're out the door, but later that evening you want to soap the patient, is there any difficulty with accessing that chart or not?
No.
Like when you do the transaction, is there something particular you do there to hold that chart open so you can come back to it to add your notes?
So currently the transaction section and the soap section are not intertwined. So
Okay.
they run completely separately. I will be honest, there's times where I forget to do a soap. And in that instance, let's say it's the next day or the day after, what I will do is
Right.
when I do my presenting complaint, I will choose other, and then I will put the date of that that soap was to be completed right there, okay? Just to remind me that I was a little tardy on that, okay? But certainly, the moment you open a soap, you have 24 hours to edit that soap. So for me,
Okay.
if I was on the road or I thought I was going to get to it after midnight, I might just go in and sort of create one and not complete it, because then the created date will be today. And if I start one now, I'll have until 8 o'clock tomorrow to finish it, and it'll still maintain this created date.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You know, you
Thank
have
you.
to be, most state practice acts require generally that a soap be done within, that a medical record be completed within 24 hours of seeing the patient.
Right.
So that's why we've got that 24-hour lockout. Now, you'll also notice there's a modified tab here.
Mm-hmm.
And the person who is the account owner, whoever that may be, will have the ability to reopen a soap. So, for example, let me see if I can demonstrate that. I've got one in here. Bear with me 1 second. Soap. Okay, so you'll notice here it says reopen. And if you tick that, it's going to ask you, are you sure you want to reopen it? And then you'll notice that it's changed to today's date and time and that the edit button is available. Okay? So
All right.
that will allow you to go in and make changes to that soap. It will note that it was modified. Okay?
Right.
And I can't imagine anyone would ever ask, but our backup, obviously our backups would keep that modification notice there. But generally, if I'm doing
Right.
that, I'll either, I might write a new soap and in the presenting complaint, just say this is to edit such and such a soap or what have you. But the account owner
Sure.
does have the ability to jump in and reopen those soaps and edit them. It's only the account
Okay.
owner, so even admin doctors can't do that. Okay.
Sure. Sure.
Any other questions about the soap form? Okay. Was there anything else? What did we have? We had clients, patients, pet portal, and the electronic medical record. Okay, good. So, I've hit all the highlights of the stuff I wanted to get to this evening. And let's see here. How about talk to text on the Galaxy? Adam, if you found that to work in other applications, I would expect it to work similarly in Vet Office Suite. Okay? Nope.
Okay.
I don't know where Adam went, but I still see him there. Okay, good. And the date of the modification.
Eric, I muted because it's a little raucous here. That's all.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. The date of the modification, that's interesting. Let's take a look and see if it changes it. No, it still maintains that date stamp within the actual soap. Okay?
That's
Okay.
All right, it's only going to show it out here in the overview section. Okay? Other questions, and I'll answer questions you have about anything. I mean, I'm available for discussing any section of the software.
Okay, Eric. So start to finish, a client checks in with you. So you go to clients and patients, and if they're not already in the system, you add them as a new client. You add that patient if it needs added.
Correct.
Then you go through and do your exam, et cetera, your vaccinations and so on. Then can you go right to transactions tab at that point to get that individual checked out, and their rabies certificate and so forth will generate from there. And then later that day, or if you have time right then, you can go to SOAP and put your notes in as far as what you found.
Yes, that is all correct. Again, this section, the transaction section, is going to be separate from the SOAP section, and you'll have the ability to write those up whenever you want.
Okay. Okay.
Now, I will tell you, in our practice, and this is something that I can certainly expand on, but we use a piece of software called JotForm. And what JotForm allows us to do is create very easy to fill out forms that can be embedded in websites or emailed to clients. And in order for us to speed up time at the front desk, when we have a client call to schedule, if we haven't seen them before, we'll actually send them our JotForm, and they can complete a form online that gets emailed right back to me and whatever staff members I designate. with all of that client and patient demographic information so that you can enter that at your leisure. And I find that
ahead of time.
yeah, I find that to be super useful, and it's very easy to use. The other thing I'll show you is that, for example, if you're going out on the road,
Right, I always do.
yeah, what you can do when you create an appointment, again to save time, is if you know, for example, if you look in the bottom right, there's some service items here. Let's say you're going to do an office exam, and then let's say you're going to give a rabies vaccine. What you can do is pre-populate and set these up ahead of time. Oh God, this mouse is so jumpy. I'm using one of these trackpads. Bear with me. There we go. And when you save this appointment, this button here will turn green, the Create Invoice button. So you can pre-populate these appointments, and then when you actually do the appointment, all you have to do is click the Create Invoice button, and that will create the transaction for you with those pre-populated items. Does that make sense?
Yes, then can you add to that? Say
Absolutely.
you found it needed medication for infection. Okay.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
How do you remove?
Now, to schedule the appointment, though, Eric, to schedule the appointment, you have to have the client already in the system, correct?
Well, you do or you don't. So what we've done is we've created a client called New Client, and we've created called New Patient. And then this is where it gets down to how fast you have to work. So you can then put in the reason for the visit, the client, the patient, and a phone number.
Mm-hmm.
You can save this appointment, and then you can fill this other stuff out later when you're ready to. So my
okay, so
a lot.
Okay, so they're not, every appointment doesn't automatically get an email reminding that person of the appointment. In other words, you can you can schedule an appointment without having their email address, et cetera, already in there.
Correct, absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
And if you don't have
All
time
right,
to
that's
get all
helpful.
their information, just create a client called New Client, and a pet called New Pet, and you're
Okay.
and actually what you can also do, you got to be a little careful. One thing you never want to do with Vet Office Suite is use the same email address as a user of the software and then enter yourself as a client and use that email address.
Yeah, okay.
So don't do that. But for example, you can create, if you have your own web domain, appointments@reunionvethospital.com, and assign that to the new client, and then your staff will get emailed reminders about upcoming appointments, or you can.
Okay.
That's a workaround.
Okay.
Just different ways to play with it. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
And since we've got everybody here, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek at what we're hoping to launch here pretty shortly. And this is going to be what our new calendar looks like. I think it's much more aesthetic than the old one. We're actually going to assign colors to different doctors. So we'll have multiple different colors in here. The week view is going to be a lot nicer to look at. Of course, all of these will be clickable so that you can jump and look what the appointment's for. We will have a day view that's going to have a little more information. And then the agenda view, which will list the doctor, the client, the patient, and what they're coming in for. Of course, all of these will also have the ability to zero in and look at an individual doctor's appointments. And then, you can see over here, we've created surgery and boarding appointment as doctors so that we can schedule for that without tying up time with a doctor. We're also hoping to develop the ability where you can click in here on a date and a rough time, and it will automatically take you to the create appointment box. So this is running, my practice runs what we call our beta site. So we're testing this now. The scheduler is intimately related to lots of parts of the software, so we want to make sure this is right before we launch it. I'm sure there will be issues, but we'll address those quickly. But this is what our new calendar is going to look like, and I think it looks kind of nice.
Yep.
How do you remove a patient under a given client? This is a question that Dr. Knock asked. Is that so you can always delete a patient? Certainly, that'll remove them from the system. Right here. Be careful with that. 'Cause once you do it, they're gone. My guys can always go back in, and nothing is ever really deleted. With the feedback, although I don't know where that's coming from, and I apologize for that. Should you delete a patient, we could always get them back for you. But yeah, you can certainly delete patients. I hope that answers your question, Doc Knock. Any other questions? Let me unmute everyone. There we go. Any other questions? Okay. Again, I'm happy to talk about anywhere in the system. I would show off. We got a few more minutes. We did just release the ability to pre-populate prescription items with prescription instructions. So, for example, if you go to your preventatives, and we'll go to, say, Bravecto, there will be a text box right here. You can see prescription instructions. Administer by mouth 1 tablet every 3 months, and then that will automatically populate on the prescription label. You can, of course, change it if you want to, but that's a little something to speed things up. We do have a minimum dispensing fee, obviously. And then if you find that the lot number pop-ups are annoying for inventory items, you can always untick this box and remove those. And for some reason, we don't have our 90-day reminder on here, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that and hit save and continue. How do you remove an invoice once you've uploaded it? I would need some help with that question just in regards to what it is you're specifically trying to do. And that's for Rachel.
Well, once you go into the invoices and you have to upload, I've uploaded one before and it won't let me delete it if I do the wrong one.
Uploaded from the scheduler? Where are you uploading it? I guess would be what I'm a little confused about. And we can create it if you want. You can show me what you're talking about.
Hold on, I need to look quick.
That's okay.
Let's see.
Oh, let me ask you this. Are you an administrator on the account, Rachel, or are you just...
No, that would be Dr. Snyderman.
Oh, that's... Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I work for him. It goes under documents and images.
Uh-huh.
And we go down to invoices, and I've uploaded files before. I've only had this problem once before, but if I go to try and delete it, it won't let me.
Yeah, that's a security issue, and so generally the way we have it set up is that, let me just see if I can find one. Of course, there's nothing populated here. Bear with me. Let me pull up an account that I'm familiar with. Basically, only admins can delete documents and images, okay?
Okay.
So we would either need to have Dr. Snyderman do the deletions, or he'll need to upgrade you to an admin status to be able to delete those once they've been uploaded. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
So I have the ability to delete and rename them here, okay, because I'm obviously an admin. But if you're simply staff, you don't have that ability.
I have the ability to rename at least, though.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I don't... I'm pretty familiar with this since I created it, but you better serve telling me what you can do as a staff member because I'm always logged in as a super admin.
Okay.
I will show off one little feature. As we said, you can, as a doctor, store your signature.
Okay.
If you tick this box, you will have that signature automatically appear on vaccine certificates. And other members, other doctors in the practice would do that through the edit members section. So the account owner, which is often a DVM, would save theirs under my account. And then other staff members would save it in the edit member section, okay?
Okay.
And that's a nice little feature to save some time. I don't know why I can't edit that, but I will show you right down here. You can put in your signature. You'll notice a little tick box here. We are also adding the ability for clients to request appointments via the pet portal. So we are setting up a system whereby a client can log into the pet portal and request an appointment, and then whoever is designated to receive those appointment requests will get them in their email box. So that's a new feature we'll be launching shortly. I'm just trying to show off here a little bit. I don't want to. You'll go ahead.
Eric, back to inventory. You've got one, as you're entering inventory, there's a description and there's an item name. Does one of those appear on the invoices and one just appears in your inventory list, or what's the difference there?
Yes, there's probably too many options in here. But you know, when you're creating something, you try to keep everybody happy. But generally, it's the item.
Sure.
The item name is what's going to appear. Okay.
That appears on the client invoice?
That's correct. Yep. If you don't put in an item number, the system will assign one. Generally,
sure.
You choose to, like, I'm really bad about inventory. You know, my inventory methods are, hey, it's the last 2 bottles of Clavamox, we better order more. But certainly you can set mins and you can set maxes.
Sure.
And you can set current quantities and price, etc. We're actually gonna we're looking to refine this a little bit, where there'll actually be, rather than this being a free text field, you'll have a simple receive button here, where you can click that and say, I received, you know, 15 boxes of Bravecto, and it'll automatically update your current quantity. And then we'll have a simple return button here as well. And that's just really to keep people from making inadvertent errors with their inventory numbers.
Sure, but back up to the top of this screen.
Yep.
So what I'm confused by are all the different ways we're describing it. We've got item name, description. I guess I understand unit name. But you're saying the item name is what shows up on that client invoice, not the description. Okay.
Let's and honestly, when I transitioned from my old legacy installed software, a lot of that inventory stuff was gleaned from what they had in their system.
Sure. Okay.
But let's take a look and make sure that I'm not speaking out of turn. And we'll search for this. I just want to make sure that I am accurate. And
it was just a little redundant for most things, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. So here's the Bravecto. We'll hit add. Again, you can turn this feature off if you find it annoying, or just hit close. And then the item is Bravecto. And then if we save and print, item name is what will appear.
Okay. All right.
Everyone should know this, but if you don't, down here at the bottom next to the save and print button is a little envelope. And if you tick that and you hit save and email, it will email an invoice to the client. Usually they'll have it before they leave the front desk. This particular button will also save a copy of this receipt to the invoices folder in documents and images.
Okay.
And I think
so on the transaction status, close versus open, what do we do there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm struggling with that even to this day.
I
Oh,
think Eddie had explained it to me once, but I can't remember exactly what it was. I think he said usually leave it open if you think you're going to come back to that file.
so here's how it's supposed to work, and
Okay.
it should work. If you see someone and they have a bill of $100 and they pay their bill in full, and you hit save, that will save the transaction and it will automatically close it. Okay.
All right.
You can always do a transaction search, and I'll show you where that is, and go back in and edit those. That's never a problem. What it will do is it'll take it out of the transaction screen tab when it closes out at night. Now, if you perform a transaction and they do not pay their balance in full, that will stay open for 24 hours. Okay. And by open, I mean that it will, let me just jump here. By open, I mean it will stay in this section right here. Okay.
All right.
Now,
I see.
if you and we do this a lot, if you wish to keep a transaction open because you have hospitalized that patient, you have boarded that patient, you have ordered medication that has not been received yet, and you want to keep that invoice in front of everyone's eyes, then you want to tick this hospitalized button, okay?
Okay.
And that'll keep it open until you untick it. So, that'll keep it open for days if you want, all right?
Okay. Yep.
And by open, really what open means is that you're going to see it here. We don't have any of today's transactions. They've already closed out already. So you're going to see it here, and you're also going to see it on the home screen in the bottom left.
Okay.
And that'll populate in just a second. My internet's a little shaky because 3 televisions are running. But if you look down here on the bottom left, you'll see your open invoices. Okay?
Okay. Yes, sir.
And these are all hot links, so you can jump to them if you want right from here. Okay?
Okay.
All of the appointments are hot links, so you can jump to those. All you have to do is double click, and it will take you right into that appointment. Okay?
Yep, that's nice.
Which is nice. A couple of other places where we have hot links, just to speed up things, are going to be in the scheduling screen. There is a hot link to see this client's record, and there's a hot link to see this patient's record, and there's another hot link for a chart label. Okay? And in transactions, the client is hot linked and the patient is hot linked. So you can jump right to those from anywhere. Okay?
Okay. Yep.
Transaction search, you just put in a name and it's going to pull up all the transactions that have that last name involved. Okay? And you just jump in and pull them up. You can jump in and edit these if you're an admin user. You can set date ranges. You can search for drugs. You can search for invoices. Trying to think. Yeah, that pretty much hits all the bases there. I had one more thing I want. If you have multiple hospitals, I did this for myself. You'll now notice that the hospital name will appear in the upper left-hand corner. Yeah. Other questions? Because I feel like I'm just kind of jabbering away here, but I hope you find this useful.
Eric, can you just walk me through how to, once that rabies certificate's generated at that time,
Yep.
I had trouble sending that. I'm not clear on how to get it to go to the client.
So we'll go into new transactions, and we're going to do a rabies vaccine. We'll transact one. So we're going to select the patient. You know that you can hold down the control key and select multiple patients. Actually, on the Mac, it's going to be the command key. So if you put in a transaction now, it's going to transact for both of these patients, okay? If you didn't know that feature was there, it is. Let's put in canine rabies. And that's going to populate. Now we're going to hit the plus sign. If I was doing this and I was, let's say, using a Marielle vaccine, I'm going to put the lot number in, and I'm just making this up. And I'm going to hit OK. And then you're going to see that lot number, and you'll see the rabies transaction. And I'm just going to hit save. And then for me to print that, I am going to go to Woodford, which I'm going to hit from right here. I'm going to go to medical history and vaccines. And right here is that canine rabies vaccine. I'm going to tick that box, and I'm going to hit vaccine certificate. And it's going to then print that certificate. My signature is here. And now there's a bunch of different variables that I'll go over with you, what you can do. So you can always tell the client, hey, you're going to get Pet Portal access. You can log in and get this yourself. That's one method. If you are running on an iPad or an iPhone, you can do a number of things. You can email them a link to this page. So on the Apple devices, there's going to be a little square with an arrow at the top. And if you touch that, it allows you to email. If you screenshot, you can send it as a picture. If you are using Chrome, which is the browser that I like, if you run your mouse down to the bottom right-hand part of the screen, right here you'll see an old 3.5-inch floppy disk, and you can hit save. And you can save that to your desktop. Okay. And then you can email that to a client. Okay. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
And the nice thing about Chrome is that, for example, if you're running at Chrome, what we'll do is we'll go to Compose. And in the bottom of Chrome, any documents that you have downloaded will appear on the bottom. And all you have to do is click it and drag it, and you can drag it right into the email. You see how I did that?
Yes.
So you don't have to go looking for it. It's just going to drop it in there for you.
Okay.
And I find that to be easy.
All right.
Okay. And so that's sort of how we do it in our practice. I have a gentleman in Dallas who runs vaccine clinics, and he doesn't print anything. He just gives everybody Pet Portal access. And then when they get home, they log in and they're able to print them themselves. And I could show you how that process works if you want, if you have the time.
That's okay. Not necessary.
Great. Any other questions? Usually I set aside an hour for these, but I'm happy to, if anybody wants to jump out, they can certainly feel free. Is there a way to put in?
Eric, Jennifer sent.
Yeah, go ahead.
Eric, Jennifer sent you a good question from me, in that I do 2 different socioeconomics. So I try to cater to the needs of the local community, so some prices are different.
Interesting.
Is there a way that the software incorporates that, or do you need to kind of put in 2 different codes for the same service?
I'm going to tell you you're going to need 2 different codes.
That's okay. That's how most of them do it.
Yeah, I would say for now I would have 2 different codes. That complicates, I mean, if you keep inventory, that complicates it a little bit.
Right.
But no, I have never had that request, Adam. So I would say you're going to need to create 2 different codes.
Okay, no problem.
Other questions? All right. Well, I thought that I was glad to see we had a pretty good turnout tonight, and I certainly appreciate everyone's time. I know how busy most of us are. Eddie and myself are always available for private webinars at mutually convenient times. We have a YouTube page with lots of instructional videos. This webinar is going to get posted there. And then next Monday night, again at 7 o'clock, we're going to go over, and we did a little bit of this. Some of it may be redundant for the folks who are here tonight. but we're going to go over scheduling and invoicing, and then we'll go over inventory procedures and vaccines the following Monday. So I hope everyone found this valuable. I'm happy to answer questions via email, and we like it when you send us ideas because we want to make the software better.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Eric.
I appreciate it. Adam, nice hearing from you.
Yep, nice to hear from you. Family, I send my regards.
I will. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.